Hey, so I hope you enjoyed the interview with Arcadio. I know I did, because he provides a lot of good insight on the project cycle and his perspective on the project cycle. So this is the last section of the video, and it is where I'm going to answer the top 3 questions I liked from the viewers, most of them which are my friends for this first video, about my experience here. So the first question is from my friend Kathy Tong, and her question was, what personality or mentality differences did you see between the people from Peru and the people from where I'm from? So major cultural differences. For me, this was a hard question to answer because from what I experienced, there was no vast differences in personality or mentality. Everyone I spoke with had similar mindsets to people from back home, whether it's about life, love, or work. And yeah, it just shows how similar we all are, whether we're from the US, California, or from Peru, or anywhere else. In terms of cultural differences, the only thing, and if I had to answer what was the most different from back home, what was the most different from back home? I would say the bathroom situation, because as I mentioned before, I haven't been to a developing country before, and most places I visited were developed and had similar bathroom situations. But coming here, bathrooms are slightly different, and what I mean by that is, well, the first thing was that there is no toilet paper in the bathrooms, so you have to bring your own toilet paper. It is a critical item for if you wanted to come to Peru. The second thing was that some of the toilets didn't have toilet seats, which was different because you may or may not want to sit down, so maybe you'll squat. The third thing was that they don't have hand soap, so washing your hands, maybe bring some hand sanitizer. The fourth thing was a little different, and it was cold showers. A lot of places I visited didn't have hot showers or didn't have good pressure for the showers. So showering here was very different. At some places we would take cold bucket showers or even rinse off in the river. But you can find hot showers in Peru. It's just that they're usually nicer places and you may only have hot showers for a small amount of time. So the interesting thing here is I asked these questions about why they don't have toilet paper, hand soap, and other things in the bathrooms and why it was so different. And the answer to that question was that people steal things, which is different, and that is, I guess, a different mentality here than where I'm from, is that in bathrooms people will steal things, whether it's hand soap or even toilet paper. So yeah, for the hot showers, the main difference here is that it is still developing in Peru, and the cost of electrical heater or even any heater is more expensive, and not everybody can afford hot showers. And in some places they have solar showers, and I'm not talking about solar panels, I'm talking about solar showers in the way of having black plastic bags filled with water where you put it on top of your roof and let the sun naturally heat up the water. And so when there's no sun, there's no hot water. So that was definitely something that was a little different. So my experience was actually different than someone else in the group, and it could have been due to the fact that I am a tourist, and they like tourists here. Tourism is huge, and she is not. She's Ecuadorian, she's from South America, and she can speak Spanish fluently. For her, she felt like the biggest cultural difference for her and Peruvians was in the interactions with the service industry, interactions in the service industry. And what I mean by this is that whenever she would go and try to purchase something or bargain for something, they would seem at times cold or even not welcoming, or not seem to care about whether or not she would purchase something, which is very different from where she's from, because where she's from, people were very friendly. People would want to, befriend you so that you would buy something. They would be very welcoming towards you, and that's the same way for me. And most of the places that I've ever visited, service is a big thing. So that was the major thing that she experienced. So that's the first question. Let's jump to the second question. The second question is from my friend Kaylynn Rothleder from San Francisco. And she asked, what was the experience that was the most outside your comfort zone here in Peru? And I thought about this for a while, but one definitely stood out. And this was when we prepared a traditional Peruvian dish, a cuy, or a guinea pig, from start to finish. And this was very new for me. As I mentioned, it was my first time in a farm. So I've never really seen the whole process of processing meat. I'm used to going to the store and running down the aisle and getting a bag of chicken, or going to the butcher area and picking my meat, whatever I wanted, and not needing to see the whole process. Everything was ready for me. So seeing this new process is very different. The thing that was the most outside my comfort zone wasn't just seeing the process. I think it was seeing the transition from life to death. So building up to that event of preparing the dish, I was totally fine with thinking about seeing the process of start to finish. I was actually very excited. But when it came up to that point, when I walked up to the kitchen, when I saw the guinea pigs, when I actually touched the guinea pigs and felt their life, felt how gentle and fragile they were, I think my heart stopped thinking about what would happen next. At that moment, it was very difficult for me to want to continue seeing the process, but I knew that I had to, because if I were to continue eating meat, I need to know how it is processed and the process for that. I think that's very important. And if I were to eat meat, which I do, I am a meat lover, I eat meat almost every day, or I used to eat meat almost every day, I want to make sure that I pay my respects to the animals for what they're giving to me. So I know I needed to see the process. So I went through it, and the first stage was the sacrifice. They called it a sacrifice, an offering, and this was when they killed the animal. And the volunteers actually did not partake in that experience because they didn't want us to cause unnecessary suffering for the animal. So they wanted to do that process themselves. But we did stand there and watch them as they prepared, or as they performed the offering. So what they did here was and sorry for anybody who may not want to hear this aspect or the details with it. You may get squeamish. If you do, please skip ahead. But what they did to kill the animal was they took the guinea pig by the legs with one hand, and they took the guinea pig by the neck with the other hand and bent the head back and cracked the spine. This was a quick process, and for me it was shocking seeing life to death in a second, in the blink of an eye. So we did this with 5 guinea pigs, and they laid the guinea pigs down on the floor and performed the ritual and paid our respects. And then afterwards, we continued the preparation. And the next step was to take the guinea pigs and put it in slightly boiled water. And this was so that they can easily take off the fur of the animal, which came off really easily. And I did partake in that part. We pulled off the fur, which is a very strange experience, having the recently killed limp guinea pig in my hands. After removing all the fur, they put it back in the boiling water for a longer period of time, and this was to harden and stiffen the animal to make it easier for gutting. After this, we took the guinea pig out to a separate station, separate sink, where they cleaned off the guinea pig with a razor, removed any additional furs that we couldn't catch, and then started the gutting process. And for here, they first cut the mouth open bigger so that they can clean any remnants of food in their mouths or any dirt, whatever it is. And then they made a slight incision in the stomach area so that they can remove all the organs. After removing all the organs and taking out the gout, the bladder sac in the organs, they removed that and threw it away. They took the heart and rubbed it all around the guinea pig, and this was for additional flavor. And I want to mention that everything in the guinea pig was used except for the pea sac. Everything was used for the dish, or different dishes. After this, we marinated the guinea pig, and then we placed it in a stone oven to cook for a few hours. And this was like an oven that Arcadio had built himself out of dirt, hay, everything, and it was gorgeous. And then we watched the World Cup for 2 hours, and then came back, and the guinea pig was ready. The way that it was cooked was the skin was crispy, roasted slightly, and chopped up into many different pieces. To be honest, it was very difficult for me to take the first bite of the guinea pig. After seeing that process, my stomach was getting very uncomfortable. But I still did it because of the same reasons I mentioned earlier. I wanted to continue the process and pay my respects. And that was from start to finish, farm to table. So definitely most uncomfortable. So last question. I'll try to make this one quick because I know that the whole video has been so long and you had to watch it. You might have watched the entire thing. So last question was from my friend Amin Younes, and he asked, what was the most beautiful experience you have had on this trip? And for me, it was in Kauai, and it is almost the opposite of the previous experience of death. It is a story of life. So the most beautiful experience was, as we were walking in Kauai, the person who was showing us around invited us to go to her house to meet her cow. And we went there, and it was this beautiful, huge cow who was super friendly and was even like greeting us and giving us little kisses. And she was also pregnant. She was huge. And we even went by the cow. We were feeling the cow's belly. Like, hey, did you feel that? It's a kick. Did you feel a kick? And like at that moment, it was already a magical experience, feeling that and meeting the cow in that way. The most beautiful part wasn't until the next morning when we heard that same night she gave birth to her calf. And so that morning we all rushed over to her place, and I remember this moment clearly. We were looking out, and they were bringing the calf over, and there was this beautiful calf just walking towards us. He was stumbling, and it was beautiful seeing that calf. Like the fact that we had just felt the calf in the womb, and like in a matter of hours, like he was born magically the next day, and that we got to meet this calf. And I actually took a lot of pictures of that calf, and everyone was really happy. I'll share those pictures. And this calf was so beautiful and like so friendly. Like it was amazing, and it gave me goosebumps thinking about it. And even then, even right after that, we saw the calf take its first sip of milk from the mother, oh, that was amazing. And we also helped milk the mother after that, and that was also my first time milking a cow. So like the whole experience was just magical and beautiful for me in every single way. And the fact that, and I really enjoyed answering these questions because I saw the connection between my favorite experience and most out of comfort experience, and the connection between the two of life and death, and it was magical. So yeah, thank you for letting me share with you what I learned in Peru, sharing with you the project perspective from Arcadio, and even some of my experiences from the farm and everywhere else with you. If you have any additional questions, feel free to shoot it my way, and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. If you have any recommendations for the next videos, let me know, and I'll try to incorporate those in the next videos. I want to make this the best experience because for me, like, this is my I want to have a conversation with you, and I want to share these experiences that I'm having, things that are making me very happy, with you, all the viewers, and all my friends and family watching, and everyone watching, because I think all this is magical and that we need to have this perspective. So thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. See you at the next video.